Domo arigato, geek to me radio, da 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 da. Domo arigato, geek to me radio, da 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 da.
Welcome, 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 geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to a brand new edition of Geek to Me Radio. Tonight, we're talking music in a big way. We've got dynamic music partners. We have Lolita Ritmanis, Michael McCuistion, and Kristopher Carter joining us. We're going to talk about the new volume of Batman Beyond soundtrack that you can get, Justice League, and more. Plus, we'll take your questions. Stand by.
We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
And if you're driving around the greater St. Louis area listening to us on the Big 550 KTRS, hello to all of you in the metro area. Thank you very much for tuning in on this gorgeous Sunday evening. If you're streaming us on the KTRS app or on the KTRS website, hello to you there. Thank you for listening. If you're watching us on Facebook and YouTube, hello to all of you out there. Thank you very much for watching. And as always, if you're listening to this after the fact in the podcast form, which I know a lot of you do, thank you very much for finding us there. Hopefully you've subscribed by now, left us a nice 5-star review. That always makes us help optimize our search engine optimization. That was grammatically incorrect in 5 different ways, but my 4th grade teacher, Mrs. Vineyard, isn't listening, so no slaps on the knuckles for a ruler with me. We're tonight joined by, I'm so excited because I don't think I've ever had all 3 of you on the live radio. I know I've had all 3 of you on the podcast. You just recently did the podcast with Susan and I, the Justice League podcast, but this is the first time I've had all 3 of you on my live radio show. So I'm so excited. For those of you listening, we've got Lolita Ritmanis, Kristopher Carter, Michael McCuistion joining us to talk dynamic music partners, all the fantastic projects they've worked. Thank you so much tonight. I appreciate it, all 3 of you.
Thank you for having us.
Excited to be here.
Yes, we had a great time with Susan talking about the music of Justice League Unlimited, and I know these volumes that keep coming out. I believe September 19th, Batman Beyond Volume 3 drops, which is incredibly exciting to have this. I know we talked about it with Justice League, but for those of you who haven't listened to the Justice League, we're not going to get in the weeds, and there's no required reading before you see this episode. We'll talk a little bit about it's such a massive amount of soundtracks that there's not a physical release. This is downloadable, and I know, Kristopher, you talked about you encourage people to make their own playlists once they get the download.
Well, yes, and honestly, that was Michael's idea. He's the ultimate in organization and ways to experience things. Yes, I know that some people on the record company side that have listened to us have said 99 tracks. Oh my God, because they're thinking the logistics of that. But we don't care. We want to give the music. We want you guys to have all this music that you can enjoy. And then to make your own playlists and enjoy it every little bit as you like.
There is that thing, obviously, people, because I'm old enough to remember when I used to have to turn on the radio and wait for my favorite song to come on and hit record so I'd be able to make my own mixtape. But obviously, this is something now, the downloading and streaming, because I was thinking just not that too distant past Napster and these downloadable things where people were doing that. Now it's almost the norm for people to kind of pull their own playlist. I've got my own curated on YouTube. People do it on Amazon. Does any of that really impact how you, all 3 of you, think about music, releasing music, organizing music? Is that how it's packaged nowadays versus how it was 10 years ago versus 20 years ago impact what it is the 3 of you do? Any one of you can answer, obviously.
Gosh, I don't think it really impacts in what we're writing, but it definitely, I do like this idea of, if somebody really has been wishing for that one track, at the one scene where something happened that was so meaningful to them, and it's like, darn, that's not on the soundtrack. Now they can hunt for it, they can find it, they can put it in their whatever inspiration list. I mean, I walk in the mornings, I have I have playlists. Here's my walking playlist. Here's my contemplative playlist. Here's my, daughter getting married music before the guests arrive playlist. So it's like, that'll be us, right? Batman Beyond for wedding music, right?
And I was just watching a episode or two of Batman Beyond. I was watching Out of the Past. And so the music on that, because I'm trying, knowing I was going to have the three of you on, I'm trying, because I've seen that episode, I don't know how many, countless times, because it's one of my favorite of the series, but I'm trying to just close my eyes and listen to the musical cues. And it's just so incredible, the how it changes when you're watching it. If you really pay attention to the music, the action, the rising action, or how, there's the heartbreak when Terry finds out Ten has betrayed him now that episode's escaping me, with the Royal Flush. Royal Flush, I think was maybe what it was called. But just the impact of the music that the three of you have done. And this is going all the way back, like I said, Justice League, Batman Beyond. You guys have worked with a lot of these Warner Brothers projects. So do all three of you have your own playlists? And what is the most worked out to one, do you think, on each one of you?
Oh my gosh, dude. We are so, let me just tell you, we did the math on this. And the reason that we're releasing these the way that we're releasing them is, frankly, if we release them with any fewer tracks, it would take like 15 years for us to get this music out there. So that's why we decided, because we were doing the math on the volumes. And even some of these shows, with the amount of music, I mean, hundreds of hours of music that we've written for these shows, 5 volumes, but it's 99 tracks a volume. That's 500 tracks.
My gosh.
If you think about that in terms of regular, like 30-track albums, it would take forever. So that's another reason why we're doing this. My playlist is the soundtrack. I mean, I want to hear it all. I want to hear Chris's music. I want to hear Lolita's music. I want to hear Shirley's music. I actually really enjoy revisiting my music, a lot of which I don't remember. And, there was so much,
sure.
Right? And so, and it's like, it reminds me, when I hear the cue, I remember what it was like to be working on the show and what it was like to be working on that episode. And so, it's a pretty gargantuan list for us, and we're so involved in trying to get this music out there that I haven't even had a chance to do a custom playlist yet. It's just the playlist is the soundtrack, right?
When you guys are the source pushing it out, I guess that is a little bit of time consumption where you don't have time to sit there and then make your own playlist. We have a call coming in here in the station lines. It's coming in from the Los Angeles area code. This is Geek to Me Radio. Hello? You're on air. I'm sorry, I didn't have the phone spotted up. Say again.
Hello?
Hello?
I understand you have a very special guest tonight. You have 3 people belonging to Dynamic Music Partners.
Yes, the 3 members of Dynamic Music Partners are on. What's your name, ma'am?
My name is Susan Eisenberg.
Hello, Susan.
I recognize that voice.
I couldn't resist. Great hair. Listen, I don't want to barge in because I know you have so much to talk about, but when James told me you were going to be on the show, I asked if I could say hello and just say hello to all of you. That's all, just to say hi. And I'm so thrilled that you're on the show with him.
Hi, we love you. You're great.
So great to hear you.
So I know you've been on for all of 7 minutes. How's it going?
I think it's going swimmingly. You'd have to ask them.
We should find out from the fourth grade teacher or third grade teacher?
Mrs. Vineyard, yeah, my 4th grade teacher.
Mrs. Vineyard?
Vineyard, like a wine vineyard, yeah.
Wow, what a name. Well, we should call Mrs. Vineyard up and see how we're doing.
We should. I mean, I haven't gotten any angry texts, so I'm not sure. Probably pretty well so far. Normally she'll text me very angrily. You split your participle on that last sentence, Mr. Enstall, so, so far so good. But I know my music teacher, John Muir, usually listens to the show, and I'm sure he's very excited because he liked the post when Kristopher very kindly retweeted it. And I don't know if I may have told the 3 of you this at one point or another, but I studied violin starting in the 3rd grade. And my grandfather would always say, "That sounds great. Why don't you go stand by the window and I'll help you out?" He would want me as far from him as possible when I'm Jack Bennying my way along the violin. But I switched to bass in junior high. And thanks to Mr. Ryan, and then later on in high school, Mr. Mira, I studied music all the way through from third grade all the way up to my senior year of high school. So that's why I have such a great passion for what it is the three of you do, and such a great awe of the experience of everything you guys create.
That is so cool, James. In fact, I also started in violin when I was in the 5th or 4th grade. And I realized I was very bad at it, so I put it away. But I'm glad that I played it, and I ended up moving from there to guitar, which had too many strings, over to the electric bass, which has the same number of strings as the double bass, and I ended up on double bass. So there you go.
But Susan, did you play an instrument?
I did. In fact, I took piano for about 5 years, and I can honestly tell you I had absolutely no talent. I have 3 sisters, and one of them is exceptionally good at music and can hear something and be able to play it right away. I was not given that that talent, and that's why I'm so drawn to people who are musically inclined, and why I get giddy every time I'm anywhere near any of you, the 3 of you, because I'm in awe of it. I just think it's remarkable, and I've listened to other interviews you've done, and I love hearing about the Shirley Walker days and the live orchestras and having that experience. We were talking to Paul Dini about it recently, right, James, on our podcast.
Yeah, Paul Dini was saying that it was they thought it was going to be that way forever. Full orchestras coming in to do their soundtracks and everything. He thought, well, this is just the way it's going to be. And little did we know going forward that would not be the case.
But I do think there's a resurgence of there are definitely shows and films where I think especially now with AI coming so full throttle at us. I mean, to have that personal touch, to have that the breath blown into the instrument or bowed, and the human being not just typing in some sort of algorithm or whatever, not algorithm, whatever you type in, prompt, just to have that personal connection that is so deep inside. I do think people will feel the difference, and
I hope so.
So it's
well, as somebody who does voiceovers, I I'm right there with you, because you just want to protect the artistry and what we do and how we make a living and all of it. So as much as one can appreciate AI for maybe some of the good things it can do, I just hope we can continue to do what we love to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you want to add something to that, Christopher?
I do. I have a view on AI. I think AI, when they talk about these large language models and all these different things that they're feeding into it, it's kind of averaging everything out. So to me, AI is perfect if you just want average. If you want something that's truly great and truly unique, you're not going to get it from something that's just kind of looking at it, at everything out there and kind of picking what it thinks is the best middle approach. So that's why I really do think, Susan, you are certainly safe as voice actors. And I think, creating emotional music for a film that's directly related to the scene that it's in, I think, I'm hopeful that composers will get to continue to work too. So that's how I feel about it.
Yes, well, thank you. And I am going to leave this conversation and let you all get on with your conversation. But like I said earlier, I appreciate you all just allowing me to pop in and to tell you to have a good interview with James, because he's the best.
Great to hear your voice, Susan.
I agree.
Thanks for calling, Susan. I appreciate it. It's always great to hear from you.
Okay, well, I'll let you host it on your own this time. Next time I'm co-hosting.
All right. Yeah, Susan is my de facto co-host, but I appreciate you letting me run this one solo. Thank you.
Okay. I'll talk to you
Bye,
soon, I
Susan.
hope.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
There she goes, Susan Eisenberg. We had some texts come in too. I'll read these off the text stream. We have BK on the air. He listens in Cartersville, Georgia. He wonders what some of the composers' work you most admire, the three of you. I know, obviously, we've talked before about Shirley Walker with each one of you individually and how just amazing she was, and obviously all the stuff she did with Batman, the animated series, and kind of led into, dovetail into the DC universe and the work that the three of you did. But other composers that each one of you admire individually.
Gosh, I have so many. I usually go back to the old school traditional and just, you know, the icons of film scoring. But I think I'm going to switch it up a little bit and say what's makes me excited. I really like how Teddy Shapiro scores Severance. I love the mood of that. I think he's captured something so unique. I mean, he just did win the Emmy for that last night, I think, in the Creative Arts Awards. I'm a big fan of a relative upcomer, but she's been around for a while, Ariel Marks, and she's doing some incredible work. She did a very, very unique score for the series Dying for Sex. I don't know if it was like it's a fantastic series, and she uses a lot of human voice and interesting gestures. And then she did something completely different on one of the Black Mirror episodes. So anyway, I'm kind of vibing on that, very much so. But guys, who are you listening to these days?
Yeah, I'll bring up the old guys because I'm a huge fan of classic film music. I think it was probably John Williams' Superman score that got me into this business. When I heard that in my little Midwestern town, it just, like, the music reached out of the screen and grabbed me. I just couldn't forget it. I mean, we'd already had Star Wars, and that was a lot, but there was something about that score that really just told me, hey, you know, you can do something with this. This is something to pay attention to, you know? So of course I'm a fan of his and have been forever. But I also like a lot of the really old guys, like Franz Waxman, I think is probably my favorite. And of course everybody loves Bernard Herrmann. Alex North is certainly right up there in the top three. His score for Dragon Slayer is kind of incredible and probably about 40 or 50 years ahead of its time. Of course, Spartacus, everybody loves Spartacus. Lately I've been listening to Alexander Desplat. And I love his stuff that he did for Wes Anderson. I think he's got a really interesting way of using live instruments that sounds kind of timeless. I'm a huge fan of music that sounds timeless, music that you can't pinpoint to an era, something that you can play now and you can't really say, well, was this written 40 years ago or 30 years ago or last year? You know, anything like that, that gives me a feeling of like not being set in a particular era. And I think he does that very, very well. And he uses some interesting combinations of instruments too. So, yeah.
Christopher.
Yeah, I think what got me into film music was actually the music of Jerry Goldsmith, who was a contemporary of John Williams in the older, kind of that older generation after Bernard Herrmann and Franz Waxman and those guys. Jerry Goldsmith wrote the music to The Planet of the Apes, which was very, very angular and dissonant and otherworldly, in very much the way that the way that the characters are experiencing this world before they figure out where it is at the end. But I can't spoil that, even though it's what a 50-year-old, 60,
something like that. Yeah, 65.
I don't even know this point. Long time ago. Anyway, yeah, I just he was asking for crazy kinds of instruments. In fact, whenever the apes show up, there's a set of salad bowls that they were playing on, metal salad bowls, and the percussionists in the studios have those, and they brought them to one of our animated Superman sessions. Was it yours, Mike?
Maybe. Did I write for salad bowls? I probably.
You wrote. It was like they brought the salad bowls from the Planet of the Apes, and there they were. It was hysterical. And Jerry Goldsmith, of course, wrote the Star Trek theme that we know that moved on to Star Trek: The Next Generation, and that theme that we think of as Star Trek was Jerry Goldsmith, and I adore his music. I also am very passionate about listening to Alexander Desplat. I also think he's just a fabulous composer. I think some of the I think in kind of trying to keep, well, we have to keep current with what's going on. And I do think, again, as Lolita said, Ariel Marks and Teddy Shapiro are both doing very interesting things. I think Rob Simonson does interesting music too. Not as, well-known names as our John Williams or Jerry Goldsmith, but they're all fabulous composers. And it's exciting as a composer in the industry to get to hear all this wonderful art being created and contribute to it and be inspired by it. And so it's a great time to listen, I think.
We've got a few more texts here as well. This is referring back, I believe, to what was being said about AI. Emily Stawinski, listening from Baldwin, Missouri, says, I always advocate for real people creators. Thank you all for your work. And our friend Shannon, I believe Shannon's listening from St. Charles, Missouri. I have great appreciation for music and how it adds to films and programs. When my son was in marching band in the percussion pit, that's where she developed her appreciation for it. So it was amazing. And thank you, and all three of you, for your hard work. So glad we have a lot of people out there listening who are music lovers like me. That's good to know.
A lot of Missourians.
Yeah.
Mike was a Missourian.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you said Midwest. I thought it was Missouri, but I didn't want to assume because
for sure. Show me.
So then, I think it's more of a St. Louis thing than it is a Missouri thing. But we always ask in St. Louis, where'd you go to high school? That's our big St. Louis thing. Were you?
Oh, really?
What part of Missouri was it?
I'm from Nevada.
Okay. Oh, all right. So did you make
Southwest corner?
Did you make it up to St. Louis very much?
Only a couple of times.
Okay.
It's like the diagonal opposite in the state.
Right. Now, some people.
Kansas City a lot.
Right.
Not so much as St. Louis.
Yeah. Because I know we've got a lot of alums from St. Louis, or not St. Louis, but Missouri. Like we just got done talking about David Dasmalchin last hour. He's a Missouri boy. He grew up on the Kansas City side, but we don't hold it against him. And then obviously James Gunn and Sean Gunn, Jenna Fisher, John Hamm. So we have a lot of Missourians.
John Hamm's from Missouri?
John Hamm's actually from St. Louis. He went to high school like 20 minutes from here, from where the radio station is.
Oh,
so yeah,
I love John Hamm.
That's one of those soundtracks, and I don't want to sit here and spend the evening talking about everyone else's soundtracks, but the score from Mad Men was another one. Speaking of John Hamm, who was just such it's another one I paid close attention to the music, because when you're watching a period piece like that, my mind kind of focuses a little bit more. I was like, does this sound like it's from the 60s? But they had the incidental music and also the music they had within the show that they were listening to, the characters. It's just it's one of my favorite shows to go back and just kind of watch just for the music.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great show.
Did you see that on the internet? And I wish I knew the context. I need to find out the context because I'm very intrigued. But John Hamm and another actor did a shot-for-shot remake of the opening to the TV show Simon and Simon.
No way!
It was one of these things that kind of flew past my timeline. I'm gonna have to find it and find out about it. But yeah, they had the original Simon and Simon opening and John Hamm's recreation of it, and it's actually hysterical. They did.
I'm losing my. It's too late at night. The Adam Scott and Leslie Knope from Parks and Rec. I can't think of the actress's name now. Amy Poehler. Thank you. Joey V is actually luckily on the ball with me tonight. Adam and. Amy Poehler. I can't think. They did. It was a couple of years ago. They did a shot-for-shot remake of the opening of Heart to Heart. And if you haven't seen it, it's brilliant. I mean, everything down to the outfits, the cabin exploding as they leap out the front door, and it's Horatio Sands as Max. So, for those of you who are old like me, you'll appreciate it if you go and watch it. Find it on YouTube. But I'll have to look that one up, Christopher, because Simon's one of those 80s shows, and I'm an 80s kid, so. I'll have to go check that one out.
Mark Snow, right? Heart to Heart.
Heart to Heart, yeah.
Yeah. I think 78 to 82. I think it ran, but yeah, that's one of my dad used to watch it all the time, so I'd sit there and watch a lot of shows with him. Star Trek was another one I watched because of him. But so anyway, let's get back to your guys' music. Tell you what, let's take a quick commercial break so we get that taken care of. And we can come back. We'll listen. We'll talk about the music you guys have coming up for Batman Beyond and for Justice League, which came out earlier in the year. We'll talk about all that. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
Omega Supreme is invincible!
The Transformers sold separately. Batteries not included.
The Sword of Omens, safe in the hands of Lion-O, Lord of the Thundercats, fighting to keep it from Mumra, whose wicked eyes light up with a secret ring. Thundercats take to the Thunder Tank, transforming to resist the evil mutants. Who will win, good or evil? Now you can decide. Thundercats by Rainbow Toys.
Spin the spinner and call the shot. Twister can tie you up in a knot. 1 foot here and 1 foot there. The spinner says what, but you decide where. You reach, you stretch, you balance and twist. You try it once, you'll get the gist. No two twists come out the same. Twister is a Milton Bradley game.
Twister from Milton Bradley.
Another Tycho Superblocks adventure. You've got to capture the enemy command post. Looks like a job for Tycho Superblocks. You have to strike hard, so you build the combat tank, the half-track, the mauler, and the rocket launcher. You send in your fast attack vehicle, then the attack chopper for support. You break through, you've won, and you've done it. Another great adventure with Superblocks. They work with Lego too. Tycho Superblocks, military.
See if you could save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Coming back with Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. I have to come back with him at least once a show ever since we lost him in 2022. We just celebrated the 33rd anniversary of Batman the Animated Series on Friday, September 5th. It's hard to believe it's been 33 years because if someone says something about 1992, I'm like, oh, that was 15 years. Oh, no, it wasn't. And then my brain starts hurting, my nose bleeds a little bit. But other than that, yeah, I mean, if you are a fan of any of this stuff, I'm so excited to have my guests, the Dynamic Music Partners, on talking about the music that they've done for all these great shows. But before we talk about that more, we need to tell you about our premier sponsor. The reason that this show still exists is thanks to the Convention and Visitors Bureau of Greater St. Charles. You know the website, discoverstcharles.com. My very first sponsor, when I first launched this radio show back in 2016 on another station, they said, yep, we're in. How can we help? And they've been with me ever since. I've watched them grow. I've watched all the festivals they grow. They've added new festivals since I launched this show. They've added new events. The reason I decided to host my Comic-Con this past May in St. Charles was because of the great relationship I have with the CVB and all the fantastic stuff they do to contribute to tourism and just bringing people to the St. Charles area. And if you haven't visited, if you're one of the people who hasn't checked it out, my gosh, get down there and see what you're missing. There's always something new, whether it's a new restaurant that's gone in, a new shop that's opened up, or just some fun to be had. This weather we're getting into, the fall weather, is perfect time to go out and walk along the historic cobblestone streets of North and South Main Street. You can grab some ice cream from Kilwins, maybe some macarons from Sugar and Slice. Maybe want to sit out on the porch at Salt and Smoke, have some barbecue, or kick back with an old fashioned or a nice whiskey at the mother-in-law house right there in the in the 500 block of South Main. No matter what your taste, no matter what your budget, if you're looking for a special gift idea, this entire area is made up of small businesses, specially owned shops, restaurants, something you're not going to go to a big box store and be able to find. So check it out. If you haven't been there a while and you want to come from somewhere else, maybe you're from Alton and haven't made it across the bridge, maybe you're from the West Coast like our friends who are joining us on the show tonight, check out the website to plan your trip. You can stay at 5-star accommodation hotels, bed and breakfasts if you're wanting kind of a rustic feel. If you've got an RV, there's RV parks, campsites, whatever your taste is, there's something to fit your particular style and budget. Check out the website, discoverstcharles.com. As we always say, it's an historically good time. Very proud to have them as the premier sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio. We are joined tonight by Dynamic Music Partners. We've got Lolita Ritmanis, Michael McCuistion, Kristopher Carter joining us. I know we just talked about Batman Beyond. That's coming up September 9th, the day before Batman Day, which is a nice treat for all of us Batman fans out there. With this is Volume 3 that you guys have released now. That's insane to think about how many tracks were on Volumes 1 and 2, and now we're getting this Volume 3. How many do you have plans for how many more volumes we'll get? Because I know some of this stuff is new, some of it's people have heard it in the shows. How much work goes into creating one of these volumes, just one volume for a show like this, and how much more can we expect?
We have to find all the music first. So it's like most of it has been digitized, but occasionally it's like I'll get a note from Michael, who's kind of like the main organizer of all this data, and he'll say, yes, these are the episodes we're releasing. And it's like, I find this one, this one, this one. It's like, shoot, where's this one? Where could it be? Is it on a DAT somewhere? Is it on a seat? I can't find it. And then I eventually find it. But it takes a ton of work. And Michael, like I said, he's the main person that does that organizing, and Chris is kind of our PR person. I don't know what the heck I do. I just do what I'm told on this particular thing, and just I'm happy that the music gets released. But it's crazy to me to think about it being from so many years ago, because I can directly link the age of my kids by this, because our son was born in 91 and our twin daughters were born in 92. So, it's all this work, from Batman the Animated Series onwards, that it's like just, I can count, I know when, what show I did based on what grade somebody was in, so.
Yeah, Maria Canals Barrera said the same thing. She said she was pregnant with one of her daughters while they were doing Justice League, the last season of Justice League before it transitioned to Unlimited, so she can always be like, oh yeah, she was there for this, and now she's watching the series again with her children, which she finds very gratifying.
Yeah, it's quite a trip. I know that it was an interesting thing. Not about Batman, but I was doing some work on the Goofy movie, which is kind of a legendary, project, and they had a re-release at the El Capitan Theater, which is this like fun theater on Sunset. Yeah, and Sunset or Hollywood Boulevard? Is it Sunset? No, it's Hollywood Boulevard.
It's on Hollywood.
Hollywood Boulevard.
Across from Grauman's.
And we took our kids, and it was like, they remember that from when they were little, and then, they see mom's credit at the very end, and it's like, something, orchestration or something or other, and it's just like, yay, mom! Something that they did not do when they were like, 10 or whatever. So, but Batman Beyond, we're very excited. That's been the show that seemingly, when we're ever at a convention or when we meet people and we mention Batman Beyond, people's faces change. Everybody gets to have like this really hip look on their face, and they start bopping their head, and it's like everybody turns into like this metal guitar player. I don't know. There's just something about it that just makes people just go nuts. So it's largely thanks to Chris's theme. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Which we all did that. I think that what Bruce Timm once said about the music is that he couldn't believe that a group of such nice, mild-mannered people could create such, flesh-ripping music. Yeah, we were all headbanging, being very nice and nicely dressed and stuff. But yeah, we were we could bring the metal when we needed to, and of course we couldn't have made it as heavy as it was without the incredible musicians that we had playing it. We had several different electric guitar players, all of them, very versatile players that can play anything. And you say, okay, just bring the big Marshall stack and turn it. Make sure it has the 11 on the dial, and they would instantly, turn into the metal gods that they could be. And it wasn't just electric guitar. We had, electric bass. We sometimes had other instruments to accompany us. So it was a different production process than when we had the orchestras where everything would play in the studio together. This was very much like a record process where we would bring in everybody one at a time and do lots of overdubbing. But it was very, it was very exciting, I think, to explore the different sounds, because what the musicians would bring to the notes that we had on the page, and just come away from the sessions with something that just had so much energy to it. I wanted to say earlier, when you were talking about music that maybe we've heard or not, all of the music is from the show. And the fact that we, can fill up 99 tracks on a volume from the first 13 episodes of the series, I think is a testament to just how much music we wrote for this show, all of these shows. And we scored every episode. So we're not, like reusing or snipping things. We might play a melody, a theme that's been established, but it's a new recording of that. So we were actually making every note that you hear in every episode from scratch for each episode. There was, when the show came out, a CD that was released by Rhino Records, and that's the only official CD soundtrack that was released from Batman Beyond. But it actually only had music. Help me remember, guys. Was it from the first 5 episodes or something?
Something
I
like
think
that.
it was like the first 3 episodes.
It was just like they had to, finish the CD well before we even finished the first season of writing. So even our first volume of Batman Beyond that came out, which had all of the music from season 1, there were a few tracks here and there that ended up on that CD, but these were all like newly mastered, newly, re-polished audio. And so this is the first time that people have been able to hear the music outside of watching the show. So it's not like there's nothing quote new. It's all music from the series, but it's every note in such a way that no one's ever been able to experience it before these soundtracks came out. So that's, I think, one of the reasons we're so incredibly excited to get to share this with everybody.
Yeah, and I just want to add to what Chris said, that not only is the music being released for the first time, much of it is being released for the first time, but we have gone in and remastered with the help of James Nelson. We've remastered every single track.
Oh, wow.
So every track on every album, on every volume that we're releasing, of all the shows that we're releasing, is being revisited and remastered to fit better with today's sound systems and with the resolution that we have today, and all of what we can hear today that the technology wasn't there 30 years ago. But we're revisiting all of this and remastering every single second of this music, so it all has a new life.
Yeah, and maybe that's what I was thinking is this has never been compiled like this before. So it's not that you guys have created new tracks, but a lot of these things are it's the first time it's been out there for public consumption in this format. I guess maybe that's
right.
And to your point, I know we had all of you on, we talked about, I think the time we had you on to talk about the music for Justice League, I know Lolita, I think, was over in Europe and couldn't join us. We just had Christopher and Michael, and you talked about creating the theme, the change that you did for Justice League Unlimited, how it was a kind of a more heavy type of intro, in your face kind of intro, and Bruce wasn't sure about it at first. When you pitched him the idea for the soundtrack to Batman Beyond, which to your point earlier, I think is still timeless, because I hear it and I think it's like a futuristic type of club type setting, but it also still gives me those 90s feels that I love so much. Was there any pushback at all from Bruce, or does he kind of like know that you guys know your stuff and let you do what you're supposed to do?
I think you're talking about the Batman Beyond theme. Chris.
Batman Beyond theme. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. Was any like Bruce's reaction? Was it, this sounds great, or ooh, is this going to work? Did he have any reaction? Were there any changes made from the way you initially conceived the theme to how we know it now?
Uh-oh.
Oh, I think Christopher got muted.
Hi, I'm here.
Welcome back.
Just one button away.
Yeah.
No, as far as the theme goes, I mean, we've talked on your show, not tonight, but specifically about how we had to actually, before we got hired for the show Batman Beyond, we had to prove that we could even do it, because the futuristic metal direction actually came from Bruce. As much as we can take credit for it, he was unsure of us being able to do this style, in fact, because he knew of us from Batman and Superman and all these big symphonic scores and very traditional, and he didn't know if we could rock. He didn't know if we had that in us. And so actually he had a meeting with Shirley Walker, the head composer at the time, to tell her thank you, but we're going to go in another direction of the music. And Shirley actually had the foresight to say, well, what is it that you want? And give us 2 weeks, and we're going to go make some music for you that we think represents this style. And so we created a cassette tape, this antiquated technology where they used to use like magnetic, it was a cassette tape of our pieces, which we produced in the same way we did Batman Beyond. So we had, guitar and bass and all these types of things. And we intermixed it with Rob Zombie and Nine Inch Nails and stuff that had been told that they liked. And Bruce Timm and the producers listened to it, and they said, well, hate to say it, but you nailed it. You got it. It's perfect. yay, welcome to the show. Welcome to the future. You know,
they used that recording to, like, I think to draw for inspiration.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah, our cassette tape got sent to the artist for inspiration, and there were two pieces on it. One was a piece that Lolita had written, and a piece that I had written that I cheekily called "Smells Like Creamed Spinach," and he thought, I think either of these could maybe even be the theme of the show. And ultimately they did decide to go with "Smells Like Creamed Spinach." And I'm trying to remember now. I actually think it was a little bit shorter. Like, it was a more kind of extended version of that theme, but it was pretty much exactly the same music. They just said, okay, now make a 1-minute version of this. Which then Darwin Cook, when the legendary animator, went and created those incredible visuals for it.
The piece that I wrote ended up being in the first or second episode, and it was a long Joker chase. So that was kind of fun. But going way back to where you had somebody texting in a comment or question about the child listening to music or some, I think that it's a really good soundtracks in general, whether it's actually media music or classical music, and specifically without text. I think it's a great thing to put on for parents to put on for their kids. Sure, when kids get to middle school on, where they listen to whatever they want to listen to, but I think as much as you can encourage, play some music, let them draw crazy pictures while they're listening, or do interpretive dance to Batman Beyond, whatever. It is a different part of the brain. It'll get them away from their regular screen time. It's a wonderful way to kind of creatively experience things. We as adults, we often listen to soundtracks when we're driving, for instance. Now, you're not going to have a 4-year-old or a 12-year-old pick the music they're going to listen to when they're driving, because they're not driving yet. But maybe,
depending on the state.
Just have at it. Put on a theme and just start dancing. We actually made it once. We were asked for not asked, we kind of offered a major music executive, Muckety Muck. His son was having a party, and we made a mixtape for the son's party. It was some sort of, I don't remember which superhero, I don't remember which universe even, and maybe I shouldn't even mention it, but it was like, we did this, and it was like, you did this for my son, and he was very excited. He didn't give us a gig after that, so that kind of sucked.
Well,
but the karmic positivity of what we did went out there.
And see, now you've given me this idea. This is probably why I don't have children, is because if I had, sons, I'm going to let you listen to the Batman Beyond soundtrack, and then in 15 years, I'll show you both the series and see if the one who got to listen to the soundtrack has more of an affinity for the cartoon watching it. So I would be a horrible father for that's one of countless reasons, but a scientific study would need to be done. And we talked, I know Justice League came out in July, I believe, if I remember correctly, the Justice League soundtrack, and that was just volume 1 of Justice League. There's still obviously Justice League, more of that, and then Unlimited to get into. When the three of you are putting these soundtracks together, trying to think of the best way to ask this. It's music you guys have done. All of you know the music. Is it, I don't want to say is it hard work to compile this, but what special need and attention do the three of you have to pay to a project like this? Because you know the music, you know which episodes are being. Is there a lot involved from you at this point, or is it kind of like selecting them, making sure the remastering is done properly? What part of this do the three of you feel is the biggest challenge to oversee?
Well, gosh, I think all three of us have agreed and talked about the fact that this is probably the most complete release that this music will ever see. And we are releasing it in such a way where we want to really honor the show, and we want to honor the fans. And we've received a lot of communication over the years asking for specific things, and people that love what we've written, and we're so grateful to hear from people that like what we've done. When you write for television, there's no screening. You don't go to the theater and hear the people's reaction. You never know, And so we only know what people tell us, and we're just grateful to hear from people that enjoy what we do. But I think we all felt a huge responsibility when, especially because we are releasing the music. It's our music, and this is not some other entity. So we wanted to. I'm sorry to use the word, but we really wanted to do it justice. We just felt like, this is it. This is the time to do this. This is the time to do it right. I think one of our biggest dilemmas is figuring out how to create the 99 track list. And, often we have more than that. We usually have about 130 tracks to start with, sometimes 140 tracks to start with, and we need to pare it down. And we don't want to eliminate anything, so many times we'll combine things. And we're very careful in how we combine things together to preserve the storylines and preserve the chronology. And we just put great care and attention toward how we're making all this come forth so that it gives everybody the best possible chance to experience it the way that they want to experience it.
And in the comments again, we have Emily Stawinski. She says, I have to give a huge shout out and kudos to Lolita specifically for her work on Women Warriors. It's incredible, stunning, and beautiful. So.
All right. Thank you. That's a wonderful.
And award-winning.
That was Amy Anderson's brainchild, and I was thrilled to be involved from the beginning as one of the producers and one of the composers. But yeah, it's great. That's an example of somebody deciding to follow their passion. You might think about how you can monetize it at some point, but it's really more about just doing it for the sake of doing it, and it's and just willing it into existence. So yeah, if you have a dream, go for it, and bring a great team along with you, and that's Amy Anderson's MO on that. But thanks for listening to that. That means a lot to me.
And if you have a question or a comment, you can feel free to leave it in the chat, or I'm watching the KTRS text lines at 84126. You can text us on the KTRS text lines your questions for the group, or Kristopher or Michael or Lolita individually. I'm going to take one last commercial break here just so we can get that wrapped up. We're going to come right back. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
Besides the new C-3PO collector's case, there's a new Chewbacca bandolier strap. Fits over your shoulder for play and holds 10 action figures securely. Like new Princess Leia Organic and Re-Ease, each sold separately. It even has pouches.
New C-3PO collector's case, Chewbacca bandolier strap, and action figures, each sold separately. From Kenner's Star Wars Return of the Jedi collection.
Now you can grab the thrill of driving real Porsche race cars with Tyco Radio Control. Or get behind the wheel of real Indy car racers with Tyco Radio Control. Cause you race them. You're at the controls of turbo Porsche race cars and turbo Indy cars. Scale speed up to 260 miles per hour. And when you need it most, you hit your turbo power to make the pass. Nothing else even comes close. Turbo Porsche racers and turbo Indy cars. Only from Tyco RC. The thrill of off-road racing is coming home. It's Racing Hopper's Electric Racing. You get the jump on the competition. Your Racing Hopper blasts full bore up Monster Mountain. You dive fearlessly over the top and cut him off as you blast for the boulders. Then you squeeze him out and leave him up a creek. You don't dare back off even when you want to most, because winning off...
Hey guys, this is Corey Payton. I play Cyborg on Teen Titans Go. Booyah! And get ready for some Geek to Me Radio. I hear it's real good.
Kari Payton bringing us back from commercial break on that one. If you're a Teen Titans fan, if you're a DC Comics fan, if you like Batman Beyond, or maybe you're a Marvel guy, we're not going to judge you, and you're looking for some of these comic books. Maybe you saw Superman on the big screen or the Fantastic Four, and you're like, boy, I used to have those comic books. I wonder what they're up to now and where their stories are. Tell you what you want to do. If you're in the greater St. Louis, St. Charles area, go to O'Fallon, Missouri. Bugs, Comics, and Games. They're on Bryan Road. They're located between Highway 70 and Highway 364. You can easily get to Bryan Road from there. Pop in and ask Larry. Say, hey, I used to read Superman back in the Roger Stern and Jerry Ordway days, and I want to get some of those. Do you have those? Or, hey, my son's into Superman now. What are some comics that my son can read? He'd be into. Ask Larry, because it's like having your own personal comic concierge. Bugs, Comics, and Games on Facebook. You can like their page there. Follow them on Instagram at Bugs Comics and Games. He just posted Batman #1. If you maybe your local store sold out of the blind bag, the Batman #1 that Matt Fraction's writing right now. Guess what? Larry's still got some. You can go on Instagram and say claim. He'll send you a PayPal invoice. You pay the invoice. He'll ship you a blind bag of Batman #1 right to your door, or maybe 2 or 3 blind bags, depending if you're trying to find that 1 in 1,000 variant cover that's out there. I've seen some of the variants that people are pulling from those, and gosh, I'm jealous. But if you're looking for a new comic book store, Bugs Comics and Games may be exactly what you're looking for. Maybe you're at the point where you've got too many comic books and you're like, I can't even read these anymore. They're just taking up space. Maybe you're at the point where you want to sell some comic books. Go talk to Larry. He's always buying, which makes me happy because the next time I go in the store, I've got a bunch more back issues to look for. So it's a win for all of us. And of course, if you're still collecting, make sure you join the Avengers Club. That way you start saving money on your weekly pulls, your comics, your games, your bags, your boards, whatever it is you're buying. That way you don't have to sacrifice your hobby in today's economy. And of course, start a pull list so you never miss an issue of Incredible Hulk, Amazing Spider-Man, Batman, or whatever else maybe you are collecting. The Monsters covers by Mark Spears on that Monsters book sells out almost every week. So put that on your pull list. That way it's tucked away in a drawer. It's there when you show up. No fuss, no muss. Bugs, Comics, and Games. Again, on Facebook and Instagram. Follow them there. Very proud to have them as the official comic book sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio. I don't think I've ever asked the three of you this. Do you, having worked in all these different, Batman Beyond and Justice League and everything you guys have done, have any of you guys started collecting comic books, or do you have any comic books? Is that nothing you guys even have time for to sit down and read a comic book?
I
don't.
I have a couple. Interestingly enough, right when that Superman movie came out, there was a large format Super Friends comic book. I actually have it on the shelf right back there. It's a large format. It was newsprint, but it was oversized, and I think it had like a bunch of characters on it, and it was really, really cool. And I was really, really into that one comic book, so I still have that original one that inspired me to dig into the comics a little bit greater. But I don't have a collection per se.
Gotcha.
I had a couple of Archie comics, and then for me, comics were really about my dad getting the Sunday paper, the Oregonian in Portland, the really big, it was a thick paper, and I would wait for 2 pages. I would wait for the one that would have the fold open what the movies are showing, and then I would rip out the comic page and look at Kathy and Snoopy, and I was more into that. But it was it's bringing back really intense memories now. Just my dad in the newspaper and getting to that newspaper, and my mom clipping the coupons for whatever sales were going on at grocery stores. Does anyone ever do that? Does anyone even get a big physical newspaper anymore?
I don't. We in St. Louis, our big one was the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, and I know they still sell them on the weekend edition, but they used to have obviously a daily paper and an evening edition, and all that's kind of gone the way of the rotary phone. It feels like, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, there's something, the tactile and getting your hands dirty with the newsprint.
Yes.
And seeing what show times are. Anyway, so. Chris,
that.
What about you? Are you?
Yeah.
You have
No, I never. I mean, I was a Sunday morning comics person for sure. I definitely loved reading all the Sunday comics. I actually there were cartoons in Mad magazine.
Yeah.
And I think that probably explains my very twisted sense of humor. But as far as like the superhero comics, I actually really watched the Super Friends cartoon when I was quite little. But it wasn't really until the Superman movie, the Richard Donner 77 movie that I know Michael loves so much, that superheroes started to kind of get into my my peripheral vision. But it was watching Batman the animated series in the dorm at the University of North Texas when it came out, and because I was still in college when it started in 1992, that I started getting very excited about superheroes and animated superheroes and the whole comics lore. And I came to LA all ready to do that, and ended up just kind of sitting and listening to Bruce Timm and Glenn Murakami and James Tucker and all these incredible artists that really, really, really know those comics. That was the best. Of getting into the history and the lore and the characters. So while I didn't necessarily collect the books, I certainly got a master class in listening to them talk about what it had been and what was important and what was influential, and it was really cool.
And we have another in the text. We have someone you guys might know. Mr. Dan Reba says, "Hello, Lolita, Christopher, and Michael. Love you guys." So Dan's listening.
I didn't say that. Hi, Dan.
Love you too, Dan.
I know we've just got this hour has flown by. I cannot believe it already. But I know, Christopher, you mentioned there was a couple projects upcoming that you wanted to give a shout out for and mention.
Oh, sure. Just very quickly. Most of my work is with Michael and Lolita, and we've done some really amazing, wonderful things together. We all do sometimes work on our own little passion projects, and I just recently finished a short film that is called Howl the Dead with a very talented director named Greg Bishop. And it's a story about a family that moves into a haunted house, and the only creature that can see the haunted ghosts and stuff is the family pet, the dog. Paws has to save the family. It's wonderful. It's got a lot of heart to it, and it just was released on YouTube, and so that's why I've been excited on giving it a quick shout out.
We'll find that too. If you're listening to this in the podcast form, if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, we'll find that YouTube link and we'll include it there as well. And I know, speaking of links, your website, you guys keep an email list that you can let people know well in advance when something like a Justice League Volume 1 drops or Batman Beyond Volume 3. And that's just if people go to your website and sign up, is that the best way for them to give their email address so you guys can make sure they're kept up to date?
Yes, there is that link from our website. We've also given your team the link, and hopefully you can put it in the show notes to check out. But yeah, we keep our email is very concise. We're not going to spam it or anything, but we do announce the upcoming albums. If you sign up, there are sometimes bonuses that we're giving to our email list sign up people. When albums drop, because they are digital only, we make a really wonderful printable PDF that shows the track list and what episodes the tracks come from. That comes with every, whenever we release an album, that goes up to our mail list. And, there's always the possibility for other cool little bonuses too. So, just stay in touch with us and keep up on the news and the soundtracks and what's happening in our dynamic music partners world. We encourage you to join us.
Yeah, we do encourage people to if you have the means to purchase the soundtracks and download them on your local device, because the stuff that's just streaming, there almost everything has a certain renegotiation, 5-year, 10-year, whatever the different situation is. So we wouldn't want people to 5 years and one day later realize that something's been pulled. Hopefully it'll be on there forever, but just if you want to make sure, you go ahead and get it.
And that way you guys, when you download them, you can make your own physical media copies. You can burn them to a CD and make your own cool playlist. If you still have an 8-track in your car, I'm not sure what to tell you there, but obviously
mixtapes.
Oh, he does have an 8-track machine. Look at that. Michael for the win.
The TNT 8-track, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Lolita Ritmanis, Kristopher Carter, Michael McCuistion. It's an absolute joy every time I get to talk with the three of you and to have all three of you on my show. I'm incredibly humbled. Thank you for taking the time on a Sunday night to be part of this. Thank you so much.
Thank
you.
Yeah. Always great to talk to you and see you. And again, we'll have that link up in the show notes for those of you who want to check out more. That's going to wrap it up. The theme music is playing us out already. We're going to have the link for Dynamic Music Partners, so make sure you check them out. Follow them on social medias as well. And thank you to City of St. Charles, Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thank you to Bugs Comics and Games. Thank you to all of you who left comments tonight. And if I can turn the camera around right, there's Joey V, making the show look and sound as good as it does every single week. Thank you very much. We got a great show next week. Tune in every Sunday with a live show. And I know we're going to have Keone Young on the show, the voice of Storm Shadow from G.I. Joe. He's going to be joining us on the 21st. We'll be at GalaxyCon here in St. Louis. Come find me around there on the floor on October the 7th, I believe, that Friday. So until next week, my friends.
That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Thank you, Gotham City. Good night.